Hello, my name's Lizzie. I'm Anglican. In 3 months' time, I'm going to be moving into a convent ready to become a postulant. I feel a bit underqualified to make this kind of video, but I'll share with you kind of what I've learned and hope I'm not giving wrong information. But if you've seen Sister Act, then you have seen a novice. But what is a novice? That is what I will answer in this video.
I will hold your people in my heart.
From what I've picked up, the timings, like the lengths of the different stages of things like postulant and novice can really vary from community to community, and I think how they go about your being a novice or what it involves might be slightly different depending which religious community you're talking about or exploring a vocation with. But whereas postulant, as I explained in my What is a Postulant video, I think comes from the word, like when you pose a question. The word novice is linked with the word, like when something's novel, it's new. So it's kind of, when you're a novice, it's basically like you're a newbie to religious life. And I think collectively, being a postulant and being a novice can come under the word people talk about, the novitiate, or which is just the fact that you're in this, you're new to religious life and you're in this probation period. So just like when you're a postulant for however many months you're a postulant for in whatever community you're at, and that can completely differ between maybe like 6 months or 1 year or something like that. That's a kind of discernment period, and I suppose if you and the community feels it's right for you to then go to the next stage and become a novice, even when you're a novice, it's still I suppose like probation period would be the best word to use. So but people have been asking me, like, when do you start to wear a habit? And from my understanding, it's when you become a novice. And people talk about, when I've talked with sisters, and they've talked about like that, the moment you become a novice, they talk about, they use the phrase being clothed. So in terms of a formal ceremony or service, I was told that when you become a postulant, there's not much, it's not really something that's worth inviting like family to, because it's just, I think it's just like a very short prayer or very short little paragraph of something that gets read out, and you'd still just be wearing your own clothes, but maybe you might start to wear the same cross or crucifix that the other sisters wear, but you'd still, I think, normally wear your own clothes. But again, I guess different communities are different. But then it's when you become a novice that there is, I've never seen one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go to, if the postulant who's there at this community at the moment, if she becomes a novice, I don't know if I'll be able to go to her, to the service where she becomes a novice. That'd be really interesting to be at, and really nice to be at. But that is a service or something like that that you would invite like your family to or something. And the head of the religious community was explaining to me that it's within that service, or let's use the word service, or what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, it's within that that the postulant goes into the like the vestry or the sacristy or something like that, and gets changed into the habit, and then comes out again, like suddenly looking like more like a nun. And when I've watched loads of YouTube videos about different orders or different communities, I think there are some orders where, or some communities where, the novices might wear something still slightly different from the other sisters. Like maybe they'll wear a different coloured veil, or in Sister Act, the novice wears a kind of like pinafore dress, whereas the other sisters are in full habits. But in other communities, the novices wear the same as all the other sisters, and I'm pretty sure it's at that moment, once you become a novice, that you start being called sister as well. So you're basically a new nun on a probation period, and that probation period is, again, I think even that differs depending which community you're at, but I think it's about 3 years. And at some point in these years that you're a novice, my understanding is that you take temporary vows, um, whereas ultimately, if you feel that this is what God's calling you to for life, at some point when you come to the end of being a novice, you would like make a full profession or make life vows. But before that, you would make temporary vows for like 2 or 3 years or something. And I'm not sure when you would make those vows, whether it's the day you become a novice, or maybe it's like a year or two into you being a novice. But there are some temporary vows that come in somewhere, but I'm not the right person I'm not knowledgeable enough to know, like, yeah, be able to share with you accurately how that happens. But basically, a novice is a new nun on probation, and still, even then, still testing her vocation in that community. And I guess while you're a novice, and probably while you're a postulant as well, you're a bit like a student as well, I think. So you have, I'm pretty sure that you have, if there are a group of you, then you'd have kind of classes, or if it's just 1 or 2 of you, then it wouldn't quite feel like a classroom setup, but you'd have some kind of studying with, you'd be studying, like, obviously things that are relevant to entering religious life and being a sister, and you'd be studying the particular rule of your order or your community that you're joining, and you'd probably have a few like placement type things, or assignments, or just like personal reflections you'd be encouraged to write, that kind of thing. And you'd be given a few duties as well, because you're starting to live like the other sisters, so it's a kind of learning period, and also a formation. That's what I'm looking for. It's definitely a formation period. So yeah, that's basically that's the extent of my knowledge of what a novice is. And then when you come to the end of your years of being a novice, however long it is, about 3 years or something, if you still feel it's right to go on to make life vows, and if the community feels it's right, that's when you would make your life vows, or your full profession. Yes, that's all I can say on the subject, because I'm not the right person to ask about these more detailed things.